There is a section with the ranking that I'll kind of go over and I'll show you, but your teachers, hopefully, Mrs. Mabry and Mr. Abel will be able to post that for you so you'll be able to see the answers to that, okay? Okay, now, I know we just took our urbanization test, Thursday and Friday, but we need to get a move on it. There are not that many days left before that AP test. So we are going to continue on, and I know many of you were here yesterday with Mrs. Mabry and agriculture. Today, tomorrow, we'll do urbanization. So, cities and urban land use, beginning working on city ranking activity. That's what I'm asking you to do now, but we're going to move on. So, move on. What is a city? Okay, what is a city? Historically, it had walls, so it was easy to spot. Okay, but the walls were used for defense. The peasants lived outside the walls. The nobility, you had the religious people, the wealthy that were inside the walls, and the peasants did the outside. If they could get to the inside of the walls when they were being attacked, they were saved. They had a lot of, it was usually high up, so they could use it as a defense. Right? With the removal of the walls, okay, territorial expansion began. People started moving outside of the walls. And then with more dispersed settlements. Okay, today, legal boundaries as a continuously built up area with functional zones. And we've spent the last 2 weeks talking about different functional zones. You have commercial, you have public, you have homes, different areas where people live, work, and go to school. Okay? Cities have a legal boundary. There is a legal boundary for Arlington Heights, a legal boundary for Prospect Heights, a legal boundary for Mount Prospect. We have government, we'll talk about here in a second, we have local government that give us in Arlington Heights, who live in Arlington Heights like myself, that we have a mayor, we have a city council, we have a fire department, we have a police department. Okay? We have a public works. We have something that takes care of just us within our city limits. Mount Prospect has the same thing, and then Prospect Heights as well. But we also have county government. Okay? We have Wheeling Township that takes care of us as well. We have Cook County, and then we have the state of Illinois. And then we have the United States government. Okay? So we have all different kinds of governments that take care of us. So what is a city? Well, most people can agree that cities are places where large numbers of people live and work. They're hubs of government, commerce, and transportation. Okay, so we move from our house to our place of work. We move from our house to our school. Okay? So we do that using transportation. Highways, roadways, buses, trains, subways. How else are we getting to work? Uber. How best to define the geographical limits of a city is a matter of some debate. Right? So far, no standardized international criteria exists for determining the boundaries of a city, and often multiple different boundary definitions are available for any given city. So there is some controversy about where is one city begin and where does one end, and it's not universal all over the world. Louis Wirth in the 1930s came up with a definition of a city. And he said urban dwellers are socially different. Okay, we have lots of different things that we believe in. Okay, we have lots of different values, but we have kind of the same ideology. So a city has a large size. Definition has changed over history. High density, how many people live within that space. And social heterogeneity. I can't ever say that word. Someone say that word for me. Heterogeneity. No matter how, I have to say that in sociology too. I cannot say that word. Anyway, it means that people are all different. People are all different. Producing different social behaviors. Okay? You have lots of different kinds of people live within a city. Right? That kind of makes it kind of cool for a city because you have lots of people that are all different. Okay? The one thing is you don't know everybody because it's so big. Okay? It's so big. It can feel isolation, like you can feel a little bit alone. You can feel lonely, okay? And just lost in a crowd. You don't feel like you actually belong because it's so big. But you can find little pockets of people that are like you as well. There's a greater variety of people. Okay, so it's more freedom to be you and find out that there are lots of people like you in this ginormous mass of people, which makes this city kind of cool because you can find people that are going to be like you. You may not find that in a little rural village. But with greater density, the more people all squished together, there is competition for space. You have just seen that in all the shanty towns and the favelas. Right? All those people squished together, trying to come for economic opportunity. So there's a lot of competition for space, living space, jobs, school, okay? But there's a lot of diversity in the city to go find a different job, okay? You want to be something, you're probably going to be able to find it in the city, where maybe you wouldn't be able to find that job in the suburbs or even out in the rural areas. So a lot of people move to the city to have a good job, or at least try to find a job. For some reason, this one gets stuck here. All right, the MSA and the CMSA. The MSA, there was a little section in your book, this test, okay, that talked about the metropolitan statistical area, which is the area the city influences. So we have the city of Chicago. The city of Chicago doesn't just influence the city of Chicago. There are people that live in Wisconsin, up in Kenosha, up in Racine, that work in the city of Chicago. There are people that live in Michigan, okay? Michigan City, that come and they work in the city of Chicago. There are trains that go from both places into the city. So, our newscast goes up into just across the border in Wisconsin and then also into Indiana. Our newspapers are delivered in those areas as well. So we influence a lot of different places. It is an urbanized area with at least 50,000 people. Okay? The city's county and any adjacent counties with 50% of the people that work in that city. Alright? So lots of people travel long distance. By the time your parents get to work by driving a car, someone from Kenosha can get to the city of Chicago on a train. It's the same. Okay? When your parents are driving an hour, oh my gosh, this morning, an hour on the Kennedy already at 6 o'clock in the morning to get into the city, that's crazy. People in a wide area watch the city's news station, they read its papers, they support its sports teams. Okay? People follow the Cubs. They follow the Bulls. They follow the Blackhawks. From other places other than right in the city of Chicago. I travel into the city to watch the Blackhawks. Okay? People from farther south in Illinois actually travel into the city to do things that are fun. Hang out. The CMSA, when MSA's commuting patterns overlap, you have a continuous urban complex. Bosch Wash. Okay, we've talked about Bosch Wash from the very beginning of the semester, or the very beginning of the year. So that is one continuous, suburban, built-up area. Here is, what is going on? There we go. This is Chicago's MSA. All of that, okay, into Porter County, Indiana, Jasper County, Indiana, all the way up into Kenosha County, up in Wisconsin. What's above right here, though? What city's up there? Milwaukee. Okay, so people, once you get past Kenosha County, those people now, they go into Milwaukee. But all the way out here, DeKalb, okay, Grundy. You hear about Grundy every so often. But Grundy County, okay, they also are influenced by the city of Chicago. And look, Okay, Kenosha, 165,000 people. Cook County, 5 million people. So, MSA, that's all influence people. Work in the city of Chicago. They get our news stations, our papers, our sports teams. They go to our hospitals, Lurie's Children's Hospital, they travel in there. Oh, this lovely term that we've talked about that first week of school, you have to know this. You have to. I know Mr. Abel talked about it. I know Mrs. Mabry's talked about it in review sessions, and here I am talking about it again. So site is composed of the physical characteristics of the landscape specific to that area. What is it like in that specific area? So, site factors include things like landforms, climate, vegetation types, availability of water, soil quality, minerals, and even wildlife. When people started to settle down, they had to think about all of these things to make their life as good as they possibly could. All right? So, you need to think about site. Where am I going to settle my family and all of the people that are going to follow me? So think about New York City, for example. Who's been to New York City? Just curious. Oh, nice. I've not been to New York City. So New York City, for example, is located where it is because of several site factors. Why it's right there. It was a coastal location with a good harbor, a natural harbor that boats, ships could get in and out of very easily. There was also abundance of fresh water in the nearby Hudson River. Okay, you have to have fresh water for your people, but also for farming, irrigation, right? Small creeks as well as raw materials for building supplies. Was it close enough to a wooded area where you could cut down trees to build your homes? In addition, the nearby Appalachian and Catskill Mountains provided a barrier, okay, for movement inland, so that was kind of a problem. So site, why is it right there? Here's New York City, but situation is in relationship to. Situation, relative location. Situation is defined as a location of a place relative to its surrounding places. New York's situation can be described as coastal, all right, in the middle of Boswash, and connected to the Great Lakes through the Erie Canal. That Erie Canal is huge. That was a big, big accomplishment. When they finally connected, all right, the ocean to getting to Lake Erie, Lake Ontario, down in Michigan. Then you have the canals built in Illinois to get to the Mississippi, to get down to Louisiana. Once the canal was complete, situation changed, and New York eclipsed Philadelphia as the largest city and port on the eastern seaboard of the United States. Situation can change, okay, depending on what is going on around it. So, that's a cool canal that was built, connected everything, and changed New York City. All right, moving on. Urban areas going back in history, 7,000 years ago. Early cities were theocratic. Okay, kings, most important, are god kings. Okay, religion ruled everything. The Roman Empire connected everything through roads. They had a huge road network. Transportation connected everything all together. They were able to control their people and the governments outside just Rome and connected all together. The Silk Road. Trading centers developed along this Silk Road. Went by the seas, across land, into China, where they brought back textiles and agriculture and spices. And things went back and forth between the Roman Empire, okay, all the way across to China. Mercantile cities were cities of trade. Okay, lots of trade associated with colonial activity. Okay, you had a colony to bring back raw materials back to the mother country, make everybody in the colony work hard, and then bring everything back. Right? So there was cities of trade, manufacturing, industrial cities, industrial revolution. We'll talk about coming up. And factories, following it first across Great Britain, across Europe, across Russia, following those coal mines. This is what we're going to start talking about this week when we do our industry chapter, our last chapter. Then you guys have read that whole book. Can you believe it? One chapter left. We're done. It's amazing. I was looking through it today, last night, and I'm like, oh, we're done. No, one more. One more. That's it. Modern city, suburbanization, okay, and the automobile. Being able to get around, but just get in your car. Oh my gosh. Is anybody close to being 15 or already 15? How many of you have your permit already? Oh, isn't that awesome? You get to get around. You still have to ask mom or dad or big brother or sister. But you get to get in a car. That 16-year-old birthday, and you're like, dun dun dun. I get to go, and I can go to the mall by myself. Careful though. That exchange going off to Woodfield, one of the most dangerous in the state of Illinois. So be careful. Take Golf Road instead. Anyway, that's what I made my kids do. Moving on. Sidetrack. I just want you all to be careful. Forces driving urbanization, rural to urban migration. At first, okay, the rise of cities was dependent on the movement of people from rural landscapes into the city. Oh my gosh, here is a seed. I'm going to plant it in the ground. I don't have to go anywhere anymore. Okay, now I can settle. Oh my gosh, there's surplus. I don't have to be a farmer anymore. Yay, I get to go do something else. Because I'm a terrible farmer, my class knows. I'm a horrible farmer. So now I'm going to move into the city and I'm going to do something else. The pull of jobs and the opportunities, real and perceived. Okay, push-pull factors. Think back to West Side Story. Okay. Push-pull, pushing us out of someplace, pulling us someplace else. So even though I have this idea, I'm going to go to the city, I'm going to find my dream job of being, I don't know, something. As well as the push of the economic hardship in the country. Okay, a lot of rural farmers wasn't going so well, they wanted to move. So in Europe, the enclosure movement, putting fences around your land, pushed out a lot of the peasants. Okay? They needed large flocks of sheep with land, and they needed to keep them enclosed. They started to fence off. When they fenced off, now what? I don't have to herd my sheep anymore. I need to go do something else. And then I had, okay, fencing. I had to fence everything in. Now where am I going to go? I'm a peasant. I need to go do something. I'm going to go to the city. Yay for me, right? Well, today LDC's perceived benefits really aren't true. Okay, we've seen all the favelas, okay, or favelas and the shanty towns. People are coming in thinking life's going to be great. And then it's not necessarily true. Crowded areas where people are trying to just squeeze in wherever they have an opportunity. Okay, so the real economic opportunities in cities are limited. There's only so many jobs, so a lot of people work in the informal economy, buying and selling, trading as much as they can, making things where they are. People are better off with access to services. Even the people living here still have access. They can maybe get an education where they wouldn't to the rural areas. They might have access now to health care, doctors. Some of these have electricity. Some of them, not many, but some of them have running water. Okay, things that they may not have had where they were before. LDCs are continuing to grow through natural increase. Lots of babies. Okay, natural increase is babies being born. All right, I'm going to show you a very quick video. Just part of it. This is kind of cool. All right, this is from the Philippines in a shanty town.
Millions of people live in Manila's slums. It's midday, but the people live in darkness.
When it's dark, most people go around with either candles or kerosene lamps. And this causes a lot of fires every year.
Ilac Diaz was an actor and a model, but now it's his invention that's in the limelight. Light bulbs made of recycled plastic bottles. More than 10 million people live in the greater Manila area, and it's expanding. The region's economy grew by more than 6% last year. And the tourism industry is booming. But most people see little of that growth. More than 1 in 5 Filipinos lives in poverty, most in tattered slums on the outskirts of the capital. Many have no electricity, or they simply can't afford it. That's where Ilac Diaz comes in. He's been experimenting with sheet metal and plastic bottles for years. The materials are readily available. He came up with solar plastic bulbs that can be produced here and that even the poorest families can afford.
It's the cheapest light bulb in the world.
How much does it cost?
So this one probably costs about less than $1 to make.
The plastic bottles are filled with water before they're fixed into holes in the roofs of the huts. The water is mixed with a bit of bleach to keep it clean and clear. Once they're mounted, the bottle bulbs refract sunlight through the entire house. Plenty of people have started producing the bulbs, and now they're able to live from their work.
Me and my partner earn 1,800 pesos a day. That's around 33 euros.
Nasa 1.8.
That's even enough to help pay for several helpers. The process of making the plastic bulbs alone has brought jobs and money to the region. It's time to deliver to the customers. There are more than 15,000 bottle lamps already lighting up slums across the Philippines. They help save money, usually spent on candles or kerosene lamps. And once they're installed, they glow for years as bright as a 55-watt bulb, without any electricity. They provide a welcome relief for many families.
I'm happy. It's so bright.
Residents in these slums are just happy to have some light. But Diaz's organization has an ulterior motive, to help save the climate too. So far, the installed plastic bottle bulbs have helped slash more than 3,000 tons of CO2 a year. And it could soon be more. Leader of Light has representatives on the ground in Bangladesh and Cambodia, and has its sites.
All right, so a lot of these, because they don't have electricity, this is one way to get light, at least during the daytime, to these homes that you can't see inside. All right, and it does save them money because they aren't paying for other ways to get light within their houses. When we read the rest of this chapter, the last chapter that we have, you'll see also about CO2 emissions. Okay, now we have just finished this too. So there's other things in this slideshow today and tomorrow that are things that we have not yet gone over that I want to get to especially. So I'm just going to go through this very quick just to remind you what these were. These are board shirts, okay, epochs of urban transportation development. We just went through this in our chapter, so we'll talk about the sailing wagon. Okay, wind does most of the work, right? We have sails. The horse, okay, or the iron horse, characterized by the impact of the steam engine. Okay, you're going to talk about James Watt and the steam engine. Was that last night's over? Yeah? Okay, so how important that invention was for so much, okay? So much of our history was that steam engine. Created really important developments in the textile industry especially. Okay, textile, coal, mining. Really important creations, which we'll talk more about tomorrow, okay? Development of the steamboats and regional railroad networks, having the railroad, being able to transport things across Europe, across the United States. was amazing. Okay, the steel rail dominated by long-haul railroads, railroad networks, okay, getting things across the coast. The auto air, okay, growth of gasoline in the combustion engine, where people were able to then, through the 1920s, through the 70s, be able to get cars. All right? Remember, don't forget to think about the GI Bill, being able to get cars cheaper from the government after World War II. All right, and then this high-tech time that we're in right now, okay, the satellite, electronic, jet propulsion, this time period that we are in right now, where we can get information just at like the push of a button. It's pretty crazy. All right, so I'm going to move on from those since we just did that. Talk about technology. Hello. Sometimes this gets stuck. I don't know why. There we go. All right, here's a question that came off of an AP test. Portraits, epochs of urban transportation development. Which of these cities is a classic example of an American city that developed during the auto air epoch of Borchards' model of the development of cities? All right, let's figure out which one we think it is. Possible answers: Los Angeles, Boston, Chicago, Philadelphia, New York City. Talk to your neighbor for like 10 seconds. Which one do you think it is?
It's gonna be all right. I'm gonna give you
All right. Which one do you think it is? Everybody yell your answer. 1, 2, 3, go. Oh, it's Los Angeles. Los Angeles is dominated by the car. You guys, there is not a whole lot of, if you've ever been to Los Angeles, their highways are 7 lanes across, 8 lanes across, the cars, everybody has cars. There is no real bus transportation system. They don't really have a subway system. They don't really have a train system. Everybody uses their cars. In California, because they have so much smog, they actually have different emissions standards in California for their cars than they do here in the city of Chicago. With the mountains that block off Los Angeles, they kind of sit right before the mountains. Some days it's gross. You can see the haze of brown across the city. It's pretty gross. So they have different standards of emissions on their cars. You get everywhere by car in Los Angeles, and you sit in a lot of traffic. All right. New York, Philadelphia, Chicago, Boston, you can get around by using subways and trains. A lot of it is walkable. Okay. My daughter just got back from New York City. She walked everywhere. You can walk everywhere. You don't need a car in New York City. All right, moving on. World cities and megacities. Okay, there's a dramatic increase in the size of cities during the 20th century. Huge increase in cities. The 20th century is what? What time? 1900s. All right, so in the 1900s, with people moving and migrating into the cities, these cities have exploded. Please know your world cities. Okay? World cities that dominated the world back in the day, you had your ancient cities. No Okay, did Mrs. Mabry go She likes to yell out that one. All right, the first city, Athens, Rome, you have to know about the Agora, okay, and the Acropolis and the Forum. We just talked about those, so you should know those. No world cities in Western Europe during the medieval times. But Asia, again, remember that heartbeat video? Right? Asia had a lot of people moving into settlements, okay, where people lived together. So there was still city development in the during the medieval times, during in Asia. Okay, 1800s, London, okay, emerges as a huge city. People are moving into the factories. with the Industrial Revolution. People are leaving the countryside, they're moving into these cities so they can work in their factories. London became a huge one. Then New York, Tokyo. Okay, Tokyo proper right now is the biggest city with all of the surrounding area. Okay, Tokyo and the surrounding area today. Centers for information, money, capital. Capital means people who are working. It does mean money as well. We have things called alpha, beta, gamma cities. Did not really talk about it too much in your book. Alpha, beta, gamma cities. So the world is a system of flows of power, wealth, and products associated with world cities. Okay? The world runs through the network of world cities rather than our national capitals. Sometimes a national capital, like Washington, D.C. is our political power, but it's not our money power here in the United States. New York, Chicago, LA. Those are our money powers. So you need to think about that. So in the next slide, alpha, beta, gamma cities are plotted on the map above. The top tier is another phrase for an alpha city. So the alpha cities are the red dots. I don't know if you can see them too much. Here's New York. Here's Tokyo. Here's London. But then you have second tier. A little bit harder to see. Chicago. Chicago is a second tier. Los Angeles. All right? And even in the United States, we have third tier. San Francisco. Houston. Dallas. Dallas is another one that's starting to pop up. Dallas is a huge growing city. So is Austin. All right? So we need to think about, like, where does the money flow through? Where are these powerful cities? Second tier, Brussels, Chicago, Frankfurt, Los Angeles, Paris, Sao Paulo, Singapore, Washington, D.C., Zurich. All right? These are huge cities that have a lot of power. Alpha, beta, gamma cities. So world cities, mega cities, are huge cities of 10 million people. 10 million people. Okay? Increasing problems in LDCs. These used to be in NDCs. Okay? But now the biggest growing cities are in LDCs. People moving away from the rural areas into these cities. Delhi, Sao Paulo, Cairo, Lagos. Lagos right now is a little bit lower down, but they think it's going to grow and grow and grow and grow and get huge. It is hard to provide services to that many people when they are growing so fast, so quickly, adding millions of people into their population. The infrastructure is totally burdened. Tokyo has to grow up. There is no space in Tokyo. There's nowhere to build. Nowhere. So you have to go up. Many cities, if you look at the city of Chicago, it's growing up because there's nowhere to go. Have to. As of 2017, there are 37 megacities in existence of more than 10 million people. All right, let me show you. Oh, wait. Nope, that's not it. Oh. This will be up. That's all mixed up. The answers to that sheet that we started in the very beginning, your teachers should post for you, okay, so that you should be able to find them. But right now, Tokyo, Japan. Let me go back to this. I want you to take a look at the top 10. Can you see the top 10? All right, so we have Tokyo, Jakarta, Delhi, Manila, Seoul, Shanghai, Karachi, Beijing, New York City, and then Guangzhou. Where are they mostly in? Asia. Okay? The biggest megacities in the world are in Asia. It's huge. Right? Sao Paulo. Mexico City is starting to drop. It's not as big. It used to be way in the top 10. It would go back and forth. It's not as big anymore. Mexico City is highly overcrowded. All right, Mumbai, Osaka, Kobe, Kyoto. We're going to show you that this week. Huge. It's so big. Okay? Now, we're going to talk about some of these. If you think about how many people are in a specific spot, how many people live, and all the infrastructure that has to go with that. Okay, I'm going to put that back. Come over here. The world's largest built-up areas of 2017. Okay, Tokyo, Yokohama, Jakarta, Delhi, Manila. All right, so this will all be on the slideshow. Look at Guangzhou, starting to move up. I'm sure I'm not saying that correctly, but right here. Okay, this is in China. It's down by Hong Kong. All right, Dakar right now. It's huge. It's getting so big. Chicago doesn't even show up here. We think Chicago's ginormous, right? It's not. It's not even in the top 25. It's way down now. Way down. All right, so look, Asia, Europe, North America, Africa, this is growing. The urban space in Africa, it's now going to start getting bigger and bigger as more and more people are moving into urban space. Don't have time to show that to you. Suburbanization. Okay, the suburbanization process. Definition: movement outward from the central city to what was once rural areas, which are now built-up space. Okay, so we live in the suburbs. We live in the northwest suburbs. Okay, if anybody asks, hey, where do you live? Oh, northwest suburbs. They're like, oh, where? Oh, Arlington Heights, Mount Prospect, Prospect Heights. Suburbanization has hurt central cities. As more and more people move out to the suburbs, the central city lost a lot of its tax base. Okay, because you would pay into the city of Chicago to help their tax base. So the money had started to leave, and now it's coming out to Mount Prospect, Prospect Heights, Mount Prospect. Okay, so that money started to leave. Well, when that money leaves, infrastructure, education, roads, trains, bridges, all that money starts to disappear. And so they're trying to find money for inside the city of Chicago. Improvements in transportation out here, infrastructure, encouraged suburbanization as highways were built. People could get from here into the city pretty quickly. It was easy. Now it's not so easy. Okay, you get on the freeway, the highway today, and now it takes an hour and a half. If you go on a Sunday morning at like 6 a.m., you can get down to the city, you guys, in like 20 minutes. It's not that far. We are not that far. If you drive down Rand Road, you can see the Sears Tower. Willis Tower, whatever it is. It'll always be the Sears Tower. You can see it. It's right there. It's not that far. We don't live that far from the city. But our infrastructure is very, very crowded. Okay? But it encouraged people to move out of here because they could get cars and they could get houses cheaper. We could get bigger land. People were like, hey, I'm moving out to the suburbs because I can get to my job in the city. Okay? It was easy to commute back and forth. Doesn't this look complicated, those of you that are getting your driver's license? Can you imagine maneuvering whatever the heck that is? Off-ramp? Whew. Looks a little complicated. We have railway systems. The train, you can hop on the train and be downtown in half an hour to an hour. Right? Relax, read your newspaper, take a nap. Don't miss your stop though. Always afraid I'm going to fall asleep and miss my stop. I have gotten on the train wrong once. Luckily I was with a friend who drove me home. Accidentally got on the wrong train. Don't do that either. Don't laugh at me, man. Bus routes, we do have Pace Bus that gets us around in the suburbs. Okay? If you think about it, you could get on a bus and get to your job. But we love the highways. We love the highways. Suburbanization was this push-pull process. Okay? Push factors, pushing you out of the city. Push. Congestion, the population density of the cities was getting to be too much. People were getting crowded in. They wanted more space. Toll factors out to the suburbs. Okay, pollution caused by industry and high traffic levels. You go down to the city, kind of got a funky smell, right? Got a weird smell. You get out there. You come here and you're like, oh, flowers. Finally, did you see the flowers finally blooming? All right, so we have, it's different. It's different. Greater perception of a lower quality of life in the inner city. People are always like, oh, not going to go there. The suburbs are going to be great. So pushing you out of the city, but pulling you into the suburbs. More open space. I have 3 parks right by my house. 3 parks with swing sets and soccer fields and Lake Arlington. Lots of space. I have nobody that lives behind me. It's awesome. Huge grass. Lower suburban house prices and property taxes. The farther you move out of the city, the lower your price of your property. Okay, go up to Gurnee, Grays Lake, Wakanda. I don't even know what's south of the city. I'm a total Northwest girl. Lower suburban house prices, property taxes go. Increasing number of job opportunities are being pulled out here. Naperville, Schaumburg, Orland Park. Okay, you can go out here and get jobs. More space, better schools. You guys, we have a great school system. People come here to go to our school. Lucky you, right? Sitting in here at 7 a.m. in the morning. It's awesome. Okay, safety. It's safer, supposedly, out here in the suburbs. Single-family homes. The GI Bill let people, after World War II, veterans come home, get cars, get houses, and find jobs. All right, you guys are doing great. We have the Edge City. Urban realms, okay, lovely. You need to know all of those models. Oh my gosh, I need to get a move on now that I'm thinking about it. All right, Edge City, suburban office and retail shopping cluster off major highways. So you get off of a highway and you see everything that you need, particularly the ring roads at these intersections, offices, housing, entertainment venues. They have it all. Think of Schaumburg, okay? You can go anywhere. People from all over the country come to Woodfield. What? Why would they do that? It's Woodfield. Yep, because it's in our backyard and we just drive 10 minutes to get there. Okay, but people come here. They promote discontinuity within metropolitan areas. Commuters going to the edge nodes instead of going downtown because you don't have to anymore. I don't have to go downtown. I don't have to. Central Place Theory. Lovely. Central Place Theory. All right, Chris Stoller. Oh my gosh, you have got to know Chris Stoller. You have to know his name. You have to know that it goes with Central Place Theory. They will ask you that on the AP test. Somehow there will be one question on the AP test. Chris Stoller's economic model of the distribution of cities. He came to the conclusion that the central place exists primarily to provide goods and services to the surrounding population. Yes, the city, in essence, is a distribution center. All right? He stated that all humans will always purchase goods from the closest place that offers that good. I am going to go to the local grocery store to get a loaf of bread and a gallon of milk. I'm not going to drive into the city of Chicago to get a loaf of bread and a gallon of milk. I am going to go in to watch the Blackhawks play. Because I love them. And I'm sad this year, but I will go in to see them. All right? Now, when demand drops, so too does the availability of that good. Range. How far am I willing to go to travel to something? How many people have to go through the doors to keep that store open? Threshold. Low order goods. Bread. Gasoline. High order goods. Blackhawks. Oak Street Beach. Whatever else we can think. Okay? Lurie's Children's Hospital. We're going to go farther to get those high order goods because they need more people. So they're going to be in a location where more people can get to them. Rank size rule. We just did this as well. Trying to get to some other stuff that we need to get to tomorrow for sure. Rank size rule. Second city half as large. Third city third as large. Okay, continue on, continue on. We just did that. This provides more access to the services cities provide rather than only having one primate city. Okay, the U.S. follows rank size rule. Germany, okay, also follows rank size rule. There is an essay included in this packet that deals with, it was the 2003 essay. So take a look at that essay to see what that one was. It was the difference between Argentina and Germany. Primate cities had more than, or the primate city itself has more than twice the number of people as the next largest city. Okay, it is the center, okay, of the country's culture. They tended to be pre-industrial, but exist today. London, Paris, Tokyo, Seoul, Mexico City, Bangkok. These are the biggest cities within that country, and they run pretty much everything. All right, so there was another essay that's included in your packet that deals with Mexico City, Mexico's cities, and the positive and negatives of primate cities. Just going to show you these. Please remember, go back, review your concentric zone models, your sector models, multiple nuclei model. Luckily, because we just did this last week, I don't have to spend a lot of time talking about these. Latin American city model. Remember, if it says anything about the spine, this is the model you need to talk about. Remember, the poor people live on the outside of the city, where you have the rich people are in this part of the city along this spine. Okay? I'm going to keep talking for a minute. So the Southeast Asian model, remember that's McGee. The old colonial port exists there. North African model, Sub-Saharan Africa city model, don't forget the 3 CBDs. That's the most important part of that. It's the fastest growing cities that we have today. So try to remember that part. Let me see something for a second. Okay. This is where I'm going to pick up tomorrow because I don't have enough time to do this. I have a whole lot left to go. So tomorrow I am starting at 7:15. If you need to sign up or sign in for your 0-hour class that you missed us today, if you are part of that and you did not sign in yet, I need you to do that. Okay? Because I need to turn in the sheets. Yeah, leave it here.